We're back.
We're back.
Except, well, our fearless leader is not back yet. It's called production value.
He'll be here shortly.
Yes, he will be. He's
But we are on episode number 2.
2.
Okay, not 2.
Well, 172, 173, 173. That's right. That's like one of these and one of these and one of these.
There you go.
Yep. We're going to talk about our favorite Metal Blade records.
We basically we're going to each have a top 10 list, so I think we should get a pretty good variety between the three of us.
I think it's going to be a pretty good variety, and the fact of the matter is I didn't realize how many releases they actually had. I was more of a combat guy, but even some of those like Blood Cross, some of the Slayer stuff was on combat. Some of the Hellstar stuff was on combat, and so we've got
Noise crossed over a bit too into
yep, that's right. Noise International started picking up some of those labels, or at least the rights to do them internationally. So yes, Damien Hair Metal. Of course, he started with Lizzie Borden, as most of you would want to do. But anyway, so do you have any shout outs or anything? Got anything going on? I
do. I got a few.
Go ahead, fire away. Anything new in the No Life to Metal thing? Oh,
yes.
What? There he is.
There he is. Yes, I do have something new from No Life to Metal.
Look at those choppers, man. He must have brushed his teeth today too. That's what he was doing. He was brushing his teeth. Had nothing to do with the technical aspects of it.
I can't figure out exactly why my face is purple. There's no purple lighting in here, but whatever. Yeah, I think I told last show we did. I showed the new stuff that came in on No Life to Metal. We did 4 releases at one time, and one of them was delayed, but that one is now in.
Oh, there you go. Hue Machine.
So we got the Primal Hue Machine. I love this album. I've played this thing like 10 times already, over and over again. Just really, really good. But I like this band's first album too, so which is why I really wanted to have them on my label. So this band's actually going to be on more than one label, though. There are releases for the United States and Canada and that and whatnot. There's a whole nother label picking them up for the Latin market, which of course their singer is from Argentina, so they've got this huge following over there. So they're on another label over in that area. But I think the vinyl is only going to be available through us. So I'm stoked about that. But check this out also. This came in the mail, so I was super stoked about getting these finally. The Accuser, Teutonic Thrash Titans, 4 albums on 3-disc set. It's got this cool little. Why am I getting so terrible glares? What the heck's going on with my lights? Anyhow,
do you have a blind open or something?
No, this room has no lighting in it. So,
well, maybe that's your problem, because I understand that good lighting makes you look better. Oh well,
how's that? Is that better?
Yep, that's
better. Make you look better.
Anyhow, so yeah,
it's got
the little slip that goes on top, which is officially called an O card. Didn't know that until I started doing this kind of stuff for a living. So it's an O card. But there you can see the 4 albums from 1987, 88, 92, and 91, 92. I think that's what those 3 albums are from.
Yep.
And then it's got the. And it's got all those discs in there.
I just listened to those 2 in the middle the other day. I just broke them out and thought I'd check them out in the new metal room.
And then it comes with a big old fat booklet, so with tons of photographs and stuff. So yeah, I'm psyched that this thing finally came in. It was supposed to go into distribution worldwide with this cool little collector's card too. But the only way you can get the collector's card is actually to order it direct through boonsoverstock.com. They're the only ones who have the card. And that was a manufacturing error. The manufacturer forgot to put the dang cards inside the CDs, and they got shipped out like that.
It's always something.
So now the manufacturer, now the only person who has them, they ship the cards back to Boone, so Boone's the one who has it. So if you buy it from them, they'll send you the card with it. However, one more. Sorry, I'm yammering on, but I'm excited.
Ramble on, as Zeppelin would say.
The 2-disc set for Accuser, Who Dominates Who, and it has the original album and the 2014 re-recording of the album, so it's got both versions.
Wow.
2 discs.
That's probably my favorite of theirs.
And it's most people's favorite, which is why it didn't make it into the box set because they wanted to put both of the album versions out. And it's got a reversible cover, so you can have that's the new cover with the new logo, or you can flip it over and do the the reverse thing, which has this cover in it. But also, this thing also has like a 24-page booklet, big old fat booklet with liner notes and tons of photographs.
Man, as much as I love the original, having the original albums, that you bought when you were younger, I love the whole idea of more information and pictures and graphics, and because a lot of that stuff, I mean, nobody saw Accuser back in the day, and
Nope.
and so it's kind of cool to see that they actually were huge.
Plus the sound is updated on all of them, and they really do sound much better.
Did somebody we know update the sound?
Rob did, and he was able to do some. He didn't have to do a whole lot to the 2014 version of this one, but man, was he able to do some miracles to the original 1989 version.
Well, I'll look forward to checking that out.
Not that it's like night and day difference. It just has much more bottom end. It seems like there's more separation between instruments to me. I was just very impressed. So Rob did a great job as usual. So anyhow,
hey Rob, what does my shirt say, Rob?
Ostrich testicles. Ostrich.
Now that we got that out of the way.
Richie's got a good one that he says. Oscillating something. I can't.
We'll just let Richie chime in when he chimes in.
Yeah, he'll chime in.
Unless he's serving shredded beef to Carcass right now.
What does my shirt say?
I'll have to catch you up on that story later.
Okay. Oh, and Scott, remind me about our friends in Turbid North. They're very interested in a vinyl release of their new record, but they'll discuss it with us more on their triumphant return from Europe. They are direct support for Unearth, and our friend Chris O'Toole is playing double duty with Turbid and then with Unearth. So they're having a good time. Seeing the pictures online, looks like they're leaving a wake of destruction as only a killer metal band could do. So what's up there, Hair Metal Rob?
Metal Mayhem is asking about Slaughterhouse. I don't know about Slaughterhouse.
Yep, love Slaughterhouse. Matter of fact.
Uh-oh.
I'm not saying
you just lit the fuse, Metal Mayhem.
I just happen to have a Slaughterhouse media kit right here.
He just happened to have it. Just right
I do
there.
just happen to have it.
Right there
it's
at his fingertips.
It's one of those ones that there's no guarantee, but I'm hoping that it's going to get a reissue on vinyl and CD in the next year or two. Both albums from them, because awesome. I love Slaughterhouse, and they're kind of a forgotten gem.
Hey, what's up, Chris Bell? Very cool cat. Knows about Turbid North. So, I guess
Greg from Girder Records on here.
I put the link to.
Hey, Greg. Carcass wants his Petra shirt.
I keep waiting.
He just recently got him in, so.
Okay, cool.
The Accuser, I put up the boonsoverstock.com link if you guys want to go check out that Accuser. Also, totally off topic, and I don't mean to cut you off. If you want,
I'm done. Go ahead.
If you want, well, all I will say is you should follow Britney Spears on TikTok. I won't say why. It's just, I've said too much.
Why is she not wearing clothes again?
No. I'm not trying to be gross or anything like that. I'm just saying I've run across a couple of her videos on TikTok, and I just hope everything's okay.
She shaving her head again?
No.
Nothing like that?
If you want to see some crazy dancing from Britney Spears, go check it out. No, okay. I don't want to be ugly, because she really might have something going on, but I said too much. That was mean. I shouldn't have said anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What did you ask me?
What do you have anything to shout outs?
Yeah. Sorry, man. I've been in password hell for the last hour trying to get a new show outro uploaded. I tried to get a new show intro finished and uploaded, and I had Google password problems, and that ended up being a mess. But
Cheers.
Well, you
that's
can
why I'm
tell them.
late for.
Can you tell them what you're adding to it?
I will. Yes. Actually, we have a sponsor now called MediaTek, and if you want to learn, excuse me while I Google. If you want to learn that's what I thought it was, mediatek.edu. If you want to learn all things audio, video production, this is your place, man. These guys, I've been to Studio A couple times watching them record Creeper. We saw Carcass and I saw Iron Jaw there, and man, it is a cool place. So seriously, it is audio production, video production. It's an accredited school where you can learn all those sorts of things. And also the great Kerry Crafton works there. He's a badass, and he's one of the nicest dudes on the planet. He produced, Rigor Mortis, the Nixons, Dead Horse, all kinds of stuff. And so he's associated with these guys at the Dallas location. They also have a location in Houston. So I just hooked up with him and said, hey man, you want to do a little sponsorship gig on the show? And he said, absolutely. So here we are. So that link is coming at you right now.
Yeah, it's a great facility. Very accommodating. They do, I think they still do 2-inch tape. The studio itself is set up really cool. And if you want to learn how to do it like the pros, that's the place to do it. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Full-size stage.
Recording, mastering, green screen, video production, they can do it all, and they are top notch, and they have top notch producers in and out from time to time, and you can walk around the halls and see the gold and platinum records on the wall from their alumni and people associated with the school,
including the likes of Pantera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I got a quick shout out, and then let's get to it because we're already taking up a bunch of time with my prattling on. I, for the first time ever, from the great Gary Schaefer at the Heavy Metal Museum website and huge seller on Razor White from Louisiana. I haven't even opened them yet because I've been so busy. So this is a band that Phil Anselmo was associated with. I don't know if he sang for him. He does not seem to appear on either one of these. This is the Black demo and another album called Just What the Doctor Ordered. Haven't listened to him yet. I know he was associated with the band. Maybe he was in the band before they recorded anything. I really don't know, and I couldn't find out much about his association with the band online. But anyway, so that was cool. And Gary Schaefer always does a great job sending stuff out. The Heavy Metal Museum site. You can Google him and find him on eBay, and he's always got kick-ass metal available on CD and vinyl. So, yeah, good dude too. Let's get into it, shall we?
Right on.
Let's get into this.
Well, do we all agree that it was nearly impossible to just come up with 10? I
kept it down to 10. I have a big old long list, which is sloppily laid out right here in a list. I did a Carcass style list, but I got it down to 10. So I'm gonna do 10. I did. What helped me a little bit was I decided, all right, it's got to be releases that were actually released on Metal Blade first, so it didn't come out on another label and then Metal Blade picked it up. Like, because there's a few Riot albums that were on Metal Blade, and like Cirith Ungol's Frost and Fire, one of my all-time favorite albums, was originally released on another label, then came out on Metal Blade. As did most, like I literally have the Cirith Ungol cassette box set sitting right here, but which is on Metal Blade. But Frost and Fire did not come out on Metal Blade first. It came out on Liquid Flame. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just do albums that came out on Metal Blade, and that made it a little easier. Except for I got 2 for number 10 because I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to pull off.
Right on. Well, may I appropriately start us with the very first thing?
Yes,
Sure.
because I think I know what you're going to show. Are you gonna do all 10 in an order of which one you like best by any chance?
No, I'm going
He's
to
going to
cheat.
show off. I know he is.
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
cheat. I'm going to let you guys do your top 10. I am going to show 10 Metal Blade releases, but I kind of took it in a different way. But I'll show the first one first, and I have 3 different versions of it. So the very first thing that Metal Blade did, the New Heavy Metal Review presents Metal Massacre.
And that was
Now,
what,
I know that-
1982?
What's that?
But it was 1982, right? Because that's when the label formed.
1982, Metal Blade Records. Now, the cool thing about this, and Scott and I talked about this record this week, and we both have different versions of this. I have 3 versions. So this is the one that originally came out and has Metallica spelled incorrectly and has Ron McGovney's name spelled Ron McGowney. And they later corrected that, and they also changed the song, re-released it. They took Steeler off. They added Black and Blue. They also removed Rat. Just removed Rat, I guess. But they corrected the spelling on Metallica. But this broke a lot of bands, man. Dude, Steelers on here, Bitch is on here, Malice, Rat, Avatar, Cirith Ungol, Demon Flight, Pandemonium, Malice, and of course, Metallica. So here's the first version from 82 with the misspelling on the back. The second one looks identical, but they, like I said, changed the songs. They fixed the spelling of Metallica that you can see down there.
And it's
They
also
got
not the same
Rocket
version of Hit the
Button.
Lights. They
got
like either
Ron
remixed it or
McGovney
re-recorded it.
correctly. And also, like Scott, I think you just said, the version on the version of Hit the Lights on the very first version is a different recording. I think it's a different recording, not just a remix.
I think it's a re-recording too.
Then on the second one, and it looks like I'm showing the same album. But anyway, you get 2 different versions of Hit the Lights, but that is Metallica's very first appearance on album, other than the demo that they did.
And then the third version had a different cover, right? You have the third version there too?
I do. Then they released another one that just has this on the front. I don't really know why they changed it. I would love to ask Brian Slagle about that someday and how he chose the bands, but the fine print at the bottom changed a little bit.
And it's a third version of the Metallica song, a different mixer recording.
Yeah, and it says the first 2 say marketed by Enigma. This one says marketed by Jim Records. So I'm guessing this was a compilation that came out like one of those K-Tel things. And I'm betting you they took the skulls off of it to make it more palatable to whatever Jim's market was. I'm guessing. All right.
Don't know.
Number 10. I'm going in a different order. So let's see number 10.
Oh, number 10. Well,
we got to count it down to 1, right?
Right.
Yep.
Well, I had a hard time coming up with it, like ranking them. So if you're wanting me to rank something,
you don't have to.
I just put them in an order. I mean, it doesn't really. But
okay,
I just put. Yeah.
Here, let's just get it over with. Number 10, Trouble.
The very first album.
Yeah, Psalm 9.
Now it's renamed to Psalm 9. Yeah, it used to be just Trouble. Is that original pressing?
Yes.
So it doesn't say Psalm 9 anywhere on it, does it?
No, actually, it's not an original because it says Psalm 9 on the spline.
Oh.
So, but it is an original. Well, it's an early pressing. How about that?
Yeah. It's a great album. It's one of my all-time favorites. It might even be making a comeback in our list somewhere else.
Oscillating Tortoises.
But for me, I really had a hard time pulling one of these 2 out, so I just grabbed them both. This band is kind of like a Metal Blade house band, and I really like their stuff. But this is the first Omen record, and I bought this thing a long time ago. But this is Battle Cry. It's literally autographed by all the original members. Of course, we lost what's the singer's name? J.D. Kimball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just great old school heavy metal. But I couldn't decide if I wanted to put this one at number 10 or this one at number 10. Sacrifice, Apocalypse Inside, Canadian thrash metal, one of my all-time favorite Canadian thrash metal albums. We showed it last week in our Canadian talk, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
But yeah, so I like them both. If forced, probably would go with Sacrifice, but I really think they both very deserving records. Both are fantastic. So
I love
Sacrifice,
that
Apocalypse
Omen,
Inside going in. What's that?
I love that Omen record. That absolutely is one of my early foundational heavy metal records.
Yeah, it's a great record. It really is.
Definitely deserves to be in the top 10.
Okay. Who's up?
Oh, yeah, cities. Yeah, maybe somebody will come up with cities.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
It's all you.
All right. Oh, it's all me?
Yep.
Or yeah,
well, I have a very obscure one.
That's
San
a good
Antonio, Texas, Juggernaut. In fact, this is Baptism Under Fire, and you'll notice that it's signed by Bobby himself. I happened to be in CD Trader, a local in San Antonio. You used to go to Hog Wild or CD Trader. Those were the only real those were all the metalheads went. And I pulled this out and I looked at it, and the guy standing next to me said, "Hey, do you know anything about that record?" And I said, "I know that I've been looking for it forever." And he goes, "Well, I play on it." And I said, "What?" Sure enough, Bobby Jarzombek was standing next to me looking through records, and so I went and borrowed a Sharpie and had him sign it.
That's cool.
So that's my number 9.
That's awesome. Is it me?
It's you.
It could be. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay, I've screwed up the order. I'm sorry.
We're at number 9, so
production value.
Well, my second one, I'm just going to show each one of these because I think they're pretty cool. So I'm just going to go with Metal Massacre 2, and you'll see a theme building in my list as we go. And I'll tell you when I get to the last one what the key factor is. This is a beautiful copy. Came out in '82. Armored Saint, Third Stage Alert, Surgical Steel, Obsession, Savage Grace, Overkill, Warlord, Trauma, featuring Cliff Burton. Dietrich, Molten Leather, Hyksos, and Aloha, featuring Marty Friedman. And if you read through here, you just start seeing a lot of famous bands, a lot of famous names, and people that would go on to be in other bands. But it's just important. It's so important what Metal Blade did for early heavy metal, especially in the US, by putting out these compilations. And this is my copy of Metal Massacre 2.
But one thing to note on that Metal Massacre 2 is that Overkill is not the Overkill most people know.
Correct.
Yeah, I think didn't they change their name to something else? But they were from LA.
Yeah, they were from Orange County. Yeah.
So,
show enough.
My number 9 is going to be a much newer album, but this is one that actually had the pleasure of working on. But Galactic Cowboys, Machine Fish is their third full-length album. Huge fan of this band, and I love this album. And I actually working on it with Rob. Rob did the remastering on it. Grew to love it even more than I did before. So it's just a fantastic album. I also love the EP that comes along with it too, because it's got some cool covers on it, like Junior's Farm and I Want You, Kiss song. Junior Farm being was that
Beatles? Right?
Was it the Beatles or was it Wings? I always mix.
Oh, you know what? I'm not sure, but it was
Beatles related. We'll go with that.
Yeah, Beatles related for sure.
In any case, yep, Galactic Cowboys, Machine Fish, Texas groove metal, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. I don't know what they label it, but I just all I know is I like it.
Well, they're like King's X. It's just kind of not. You're not able to classify it. And I just want to say on that record, man, sometimes there are things that come across our desks that I can't believe we're getting to work on, because I was a Galactic Cowboys fan way back in the day when their first stuff came out. And even though it's remastering, not doing the original, master job, man, I just love when that stuff comes across my desk. And that was a really cool one. And you guys did a great job. Matt did a great job of putting that out. And the packaging with the EP together, I thought was genius to make that a 2 LP set. That's a great album, great release, and it definitely deserves to be in your top 10.
And before we move on to John's next one, I also wanted to quickly show this one. I pulled this out because we did the Canadian metal stuff last week, and this is a band that got missed. They put out 2 great albums. Power Trio sounds very much like early Razor or Exciter, in my opinion. Just great stuff. But anyhow, I just thought they deserved a mention just because they got left out of the Canadian talk last week. But SYE.
Well, not to disappoint Fraser, but DRI crossover. That's my number 7 or number 8? Number 7. 7.
You're an 8. You're an 8. 8.
Oh, at 8. Okay, this is my number 8. I love the fact that they're kind of a. I mean that I can't say enough about DRI and what it. I came into metal on the punk side anyway, so DRI is a very important band, like kind of like the Cro-Mags and the Dead Kennedys and whatever. They had a little more of a metal edge to them. Agnostic Front was another one, but I really love DRI. They sort of Thrash Zone's another one I could have included, but I did crossover because that was my first soiree into DRI.
Yeah, really good album. Any of those. I mean, what was the one that came between those two as well? Four of a Kind.
Four of a Kind. Yeah, that's a great record too. I mean, they were on fire back then.
And they're from Texas as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
2 members are from Houston. That's right. They had the Pasadena Napalm division for a while, and then they got back together as DRI.
Fraser Dawn, yes, I don't know if he just came in, but yeah, we just showed Galactic Cowboys.
Yeah, they King's X and Galactic Cowboys all day. Is it me?
It's you.
Woo! Man, I'm still discombobulated from all that password crap. All right, well, I'm going to continue to show my Metal Massacre collection as you see the trend now, and I'll bet you can't guess how many were released on vinyl. It took me a little while to get a really, really nice copy of this one. A lot of them had this sticker pulled off of them, this sale price sticker, Metal Blade Price Slasher. This has got Slayer, Bitch, Tyrant, Medusa, Test Pattern. Back to Tyrant, though. Oh, my gosh. Another early Metal Rob formation of my metal taste. I freaking love Tyrant, and I have original copies of both of their albums, their early albums on vinyl. Black Widow, Warlord, Virgin Steel, Sexist, Snow White, Marauder, and Lamort. So some you've heard of, some that were pretty underground and didn't really go much farther than that. But man, I just treasure these.
Yeah, Warlord's freaking awesome.
That's my volume 3.
Snow White changed their name shortly after, and they put out a few albums that were really good too. Although they're kind of hard to find these days.
Oh, the Snow White. The Snow White.
Yep, with a Z.
From Chicago.
Yep.
Wasn't that the brother of the guy that was on Cyclone Temple? He was in the guitarist for Cyclone Temple, and when Sony CBS bought out Combat, they trashed the whole label except for one band, and that was Cyclone Temple. So that guy made the cut.
Huh.
Anyway,
don't know that. Could be.
Well, think about who was on Combat at the time, because I was more of a Combat guy than I was a Metal Blade guy at the time. I mean, back when all this stuff was happening. But when they had Exodus and Death and Forbidden and
right.
So anyway,
so I looked it up real quick. It says the band split up after vocalist Debbie Gunn left to return to her former band Sentinel Steel. The remaining members of Snow White went on to form Cyclone Temple.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
I couldn't have told you that without looking it up. Anyhow, you're up. You're on number.
Oh, 7.
I am.
Okay.
You and me. One of the two of us.
Very obscure. Sort of. No, in fact, I didn't even think about this thing being released on Metal Blade, but yet, sure enough, it is. It says it right there on the bottom, and I have this signed by Mike and Schmear. But once again, and yes, Gary, I did say soiree. This was my first soiree into the German thrash scene, and I love Destruction, and I like the fact that they've sort of come full circle, and now they're better than they ever were. I think, unlike some of the other quote unquote big four, I would say that one of the one who is the king of the big four is probably the Queen now at this point. But Destruction is awesome.
Yep.
And I love that album in particular.
Now on my original list, this one here, I had Destruction on there, and I took them off just because it was originally released on Noise. Like I said, I had such a hard time paring it down to. But yeah, it was released in the U.S. on Metal Blade, and it was released in Europe on Noise.
Well, honestly, I didn't really know about Noise because I was, import. It's not like we had the internet back in the early '80s, and
No.
and when I saw this, I actually was able to listen to it, and I thought, man, I love the dirty thrashing mayhemic speed metal of the Germans. So there you have it.
My number 8
right there.
My number 8 is, I'm just quickly looking up the year because I forgot. Give me 5 seconds here. I'm almost there.
That's Phil Anselmo,
a newer album. So this is a 2003 Metal Blade release.
Oh, that's hard to beat that one. That's really, really good.
Yep, Brainstorm, Soul Temptation. This is a recent reissue on Brutal Planet. Once again, Rob and I got to work on this when the label. We actually had a meeting with the label, Rob and I and the label owner, and we were going through the Metal Blade releases that he was wanting to do, and I was like, do that one, do that one, do that one, do that one, because I really wanted this Brainstorm album on vinyl because it had not been released on vinyl before. So he ended up doing it on vinyl. It is the only one he's going to do on vinyl, unfortunately, because the rest of them got almost immediately picked up right afterwards by AFM out in Germany. So all the rest of them are going to be released from Germany, but this is the US pressing of Metal Blade's Brainstorm Soul Temptation.
I think that's I think that's a true epitome of German power metal. I mean,
yes.
It's like almost a perfect record, I think, for that genre, in
my
opinion.
A lot of people, when you think of power metal, they tend to think of like double bass all the time, all the way through every song, flowery vocals, about Dungeons and Dragons and swords. That's not really what it is.
No,
but it's just. I mean, you could actually play that up against like Metal Church, and it wouldn't be that far of a stretch off.
It has a little more of a thrash element to it than your normal power metal or symphonic power metal. But man, I love that album. I listened to that the other day just because you guys had worked on it, and it still holds up.
And you can revoke my metal. You can revoke my metal credentials because before we worked on it, I didn't know who they were. I felt like a dummy. Scott was crazy. Yeah, it's good.
I also love the other band that the singer was in, Symforce.
Oh yeah, that's another great one. Even a harder edge, I think Symforce had a little harder of an edge than the Brainstorm did.
Yep, they did, and there will be some Symforce coming out. I'm probably saying something I'm not supposed to say, but there will be some Symforce coming out later on this year as well. So remastered by somebody we know.
Our lips are sealed.
All right, you're up again, Rob.
Oh, good. Boy, let's see. As I continue to try not to bore you guys to tears, once again, you'll never believe what the. Hang on. I've got
so you're number
going. I'm trying to get all this stuff. All right.
You're number 4, right?
Yep.
Number 4?
As I'm going in the opposite order, is my beautiful, wonderful copy, including the hype sticker of Metal Massacre 4. It took me a while to track down a really nice copy of this. I've had a few of them over the years. But this one's got, and this is where we start getting into some bands that I don't really know a ton about. Some underground bands, Sacred Blade, Death Dealer. Of course, we know Trouble, Scepter, Zoetrope, Warcry, Abattoir,
Steve Gaines.
Yep. Witch Slayer. I did not know about Witch Slayer. Lizzie Borden, awesome.
Awesome song, Rod of Iron.
Thrust. I did have some Thrust records over the years, and Medieval. So I'm going to continue showing the Metal Blade, Metal Massacre collection on vinyl. That is number 4. Beautiful copy.
Yeah, that's
you ever
awesome.
Break into my house, they're just right over there.
Yeah, that's a fantastic album. I love Zoetrope too, or Zoetrope, however you say it.
Close enough.
What's up, Timothy?
Are we doing counterclockwise or clockwise? Because
you're on number 7. He's going in reverse order from us.
Okay,
yeah, it's all screwed up.
So 10, 9, 8, 7.
You're on number 7. Yep.
Fates Warning, no exit. Man,
Awesome
I
album.
love this record, and I think you can pile up all the Fates Warning records you want into a big stack, and this by far to me is the best one ever. And this was the introduction of Ray Alder, right?
Yes, it was.
Was this the first one he was on? Man, I love this thing. I nearly wore it out and had to find another copy.
Ray Alder. Yeah, I'm pretty sure now. I'm second guessing myself.
Great
album. I think you're correct.
Yep.
Classic. I
think so too. I think this personifies the genre of that type of metal too. So anyway, this is my number 7. Fates Warning.
Awesome.
No exit.
Gosh, where are we?
Although I will fight you to the death on that being their best album, but I think it's a great album.
What do you think is their best?
It'll be coming soon.
Okay.
It'll be in my list.
To a city near me.
Yep. So my number 7 is an oldie but goodie. This is the third album from this band and the last, but Liege Lord, Master Control.
I had that one in my hand.
I love all 3 of their albums. I kill to have another vinyl copy of the first album. I had one back in the day, but when I call it my Super Christian days back in the day, I got rid of all my vinyl and I got rid of it.
Can somebody confirm they went to Hell's Heroes this year? Did Liege Lord play? Or was that last year?
I don't know. Sure. Martin Bailey's in the house, though. He used to work at Metal Blade.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe. This is actually the first one with the singer, though. This is Joe. How you say his last name?
Joe Camu from that played in Overkill briefly.
Played in Overkill for a while and played in
Annihilator.
Annihilator for a while. Yep. But this is the album he sang on. This is just great U.S. power metal. I mean, put this with Heretic and Reverend and Metal Church and that kind of thing. Pushing that boundary, kind of riding the fence between pure heavy metal and thrash metal. They're kind of riding that fence between the two, and I love this album.
Yeah,
and I think part of the reason why is I really like his vocals as well. He's a great singer.
Yeah,
I mean, he could pull off everything from Rob Halford to just the more brutal thrash metal styles. So anyhow, that's my number 7. I'm checking off my list so I don't mess it up.
So am I working on number 6 now, or did
it's up? It's Rob again.
Rob.
Yes, and guess what?
Another Metal Massacre. 5. What?
Again, I have gotten so lucky to find some killer versions of these before they went through the roof. Some really nice, pretty copies of these. And again, I'll read the bands for you. Omen, fantastic. Voivod, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Attacker, Future Tense, Overkill. That is the Overkill that we all know and love.
Yes, it is. Death Rider, I believe.
Yep. Fates Warning, Metal Church, Lethal Sin, Final Warning, Hellhammer. May I please read the names of the guys in Hellhammer?
Absolutely, because we all know who that is.
Denial Fiend, Slade Necros. That's it. I thought there was another one.
I think there is 4.
And Mace. I think Mace is that almost noise band from back in the day that did I'm going to snatch that because I love those 2 Mace albums. Forgive me while I look for those in a minute. But yeah, that was my copy of Metal Massacre 5. Came out in 1984.
And of course, Hellhammer became
Celtic Frost.
Yes, they did. So they're pretty raw. Back in the day, I used to subscribe to Kerrang magazine back in the 80s, and I got it. I'm pretty sure it was the issue with Anvil on the front, and inside it always had the little pen pal section where you could trade tapes and that kind of thing. And there was this dude who said he was into Infernal Majestic metal, and he was it was a very funny post, but I thought it was awesome, so I wrote to him, and it ended up being Tom from
Tom G. Warrior.
yeah. I mean, so it was kind of a pen pal thing. I wish I would have saved that because it was just a letter back. It wasn't he didn't send a tape or anything, but still, I got rid of all that during my days of deleting music.
Have you seen his book? I mean, he
Bad
did most of
decision,
the.
Coach.
He did some artwork and some, like he drew up the logo and stuff like that too. He was kind of like a way for Voivod. And I guess,
Yeah.
well, and since it's my turn and while we're talking about them, I'll go ahead and this will be my number 6. Or is that number 6? Anyway.
I see what you did there.
You're
going to
Hellhammer, Apocalyptic Raids. I think that was the precursor. I lumped these two together. Celtic Frost, Morbid Visions, or Morbid
Very
Tales.
nice.
Man, these things are brutal and I love them. So, and it's, once again, they may have been released on other labels, but I bought them on Metal Blade because that's what was available to me. And man, they were a very important part of my finding my direction from my metal perspective. And yes, Viking does rule. Man of Straw I had in my hand, and Do or Die I had in my other hand, and I just ran out of space.
Yeah, Viking were on my long list too. When we get done, I have a list of when we get done, I have a list of other bands that I'm just gonna rattle off real quick that didn't make my list, but I think are awesome. So
yeah.
But my number 6 is actually a twofer because I again couldn't decide which one because they both are awesome. But which one do you pick? Yeah. Honestly, which one do you pick? I really wanted to go with Show No Mercy because this was my introduction to the band, and I played this thing over and over and over and over again when I was a kid.
Yep.
To the point of ridiculousness, especially the song. Which song was it? Antichrist, when he was just and he's just screaming in that high pitched voice. I mean, I love that back in the day. I find the lyrics a little bit irritating these days, but this album I think is actually probably better. So I don't know. I like them both, but
you played them at church, right?
You can't deny a song like Kill and Kill Again or At Dawn They Sleep. I mean, that's just prime Slayer.
I've got to go with the first one, and here's why. When I was listening to early metal and stuff, Richie had a copy of that, my buddy that I've known since first grade who punched me in the stomach, who's watching the show. He had that, and we wore it out, and I'm pretty sure that I have his copy that we played back when we were young teenagers, sitting right over there. Because when I whittled my collection down, the stuff that he and his brother gave me made the cut, and I'm pretty sure I have his copy of that. So to me, it's the introduction to Slayer. It was an introduction to heavier, faster metal. So I would have to go the first one. The second one may be better. I can't argue with that. But my first love is that first Slayer album.
Perfect. I also like the way they looked on the back. Although everybody kind of made fun of them back in the scene back in the day because that's a poser thing to do with the eye makeup. But I thought it looked cool.
I just finished watching Murder on the Front Row, and
Gary Holt,
Gary Holt specifically said, "Don't you guys bring the eyeliner here, or you will get the poser. you'll get the poser treatment." So that's why they went. They played one show up there with the eyeliner, and the next night no eyeliner. So anyway,
Metal Overkill, what's up?
And TJ Lewis,
their EPs, their Metal Blade EPs are great too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
TJ, I had Sodom in my hand. I had it in. I
showed you this list right on the back. Here's a list of the EPs that I was like, oh, there's some great EPs too, but
yeah,
I left them off because they're EPs. In any case,
this is a little more difficult than I thought it would be.
Yep. Yeah, you're up again, Rob.
Okay.
We're running out of time, so we need to start cranking.
Yep. Ruthless, what's up? Ruthless Metal's here. All right, I'll tell you what. Why don't I just go through the end of my list real fast? Because I'm not really doing that list
because we know that they're going to be Metal Massacres.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you the rest of my Metal Massacre records. So Metal Massacre only came out through Volume 10 on vinyl, and Volume 10, other than the first one with the misspelling, Volume 10 was very hard to find. But I have it, and I'll show it to you in a minute. So here's Volume 6, another pretty copy. Possessed, Nasty Savage, Steel Assassin, Mayhem, Hades, Hallows Eve, Hyrax. I can't read that. Pathfinder, Dark Angel, The Obsessed, and Martyr. Dude, what a stacked lineup.
Yeah, that thing rips.
Here's Metal Massacre 7. I'll just tear through these real quick. This one's not as in great a shape, but it's nice. Heretic, Sentinel Beast, Flotsam and Jetsam, Crank. I freaking love that Crank album. Madman, Detente, Commander, Juggernaut, Cryptic Slaughter, Have Mercy, Titanic, and Lost Horizon. And then, complete with hype sticker. Is that in the shrink wrap? Holy crap. This is sealed. Metal Massacre 8, still sealed copy. I did not know that. Didn't realize that. Sacred Reich, Viking, Overlord, Fatal Violence, Tactics, Sanctum, Gargoyle, Ripper, ESP, War God, LSN, and Cobalt Blue. I don't know a ton of those bands.
Hey, I can tell you this. War God has Robbie Perkins in it, who was also in Attacks, a band that I did some artwork for back in the day. And they practiced right next to the infamous Slayer.
Very nice.
In fact, they recorded their Unit G demo, and I have a story about a copy of My Rain and Blood that got desecrated by Tom Araya, but we'll refrain from going there right now at this point.
We'll do a Slayer episode and talk about that. That'll be cool. Metal Massacre 9. This one is fairly easy to find. This one is also sealed. And I'll just run through these last two real quick. This is pretty cool. Banshee. Oliver Magnum, Toxic, Dissenter, Red Drum, Pedophile. Whoops. Chaos Horde, Faith or Fear, The Wrath, and Overdose. And on the front, it says Banshee, now with Atlantic Records, and Toxic, now with Road Racer Records.
Right.
So
and Chaos Horde was a band from Louisiana that recorded in Houston. And I actually have their first EP. Yeah. It's a great band.
Faith or Fear, a thrash band from Philadelphia. They were great too.
And this one was super hard to find. It took me a couple years. I watched a couple on eBay. They were overseas. I really was nervous about getting it shipped from overseas, but this one did come from overseas. I don't really know why it was so hard to find. But this is a French pressing on Music for Nations, distributed by Music for Nations. Pretty stoked about it. Betrayal, Solitude, Murder Car, Confessor, Dan, Colette, Nihilist, Rot, Winch, Slaughter, and IDK. This one was freaking hard to find. So that's 1 through 10 of the Metal Massacre series, and that's everything that came out on vinyl as far as I know, unless something's been reissued.
And that Slayer was not the Fly to the Angels Slaughter. So
no,
Slayer, Slaughter. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we're into my top 5. And yes,
same here, yep.
Fraser, I heard that rumor also. That would be interesting. I think Sodom is gone but not forgotten. Okay, so this is really tough, but I drove to Dallas from Houston to see this band after seeing them in Houston the previous night. Nasty Savage.
Yes.
Holy cow. Nasty Ronnie. This is like watching Hulk Hogan sing heavy metal songs and break TVs over his head while he's beating himself with a chain and dripping hot candle wax on the front row. Anyway, Nasty Savage freaking ruled. So I drove to Dallas, and I think I saw them at either the Galaxy or the Basement. But anyway, so Nasty Savage, my number 5 release on Metal Blade, and I love this album. I can play it on a loop.
Not to mention the drummer Blue Fire, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, they were all kinds of crazy.
Check out that comment from Gary.
Faith or Fear. That's the band he's asking
Faith or
about.
Fear. Yep.
Okay.
And my number 5 is one that you've actually already seen.
Yep.
Trouble. I actually have 2 copies of it. I have the original white vinyl copy on Metal Blade here, and then I have a Canadian pressing on Bonsai, which I thought was kind of cool. So I
I love
both.
Bonsai pressings.
Bonsai pressings don't show up very often in the States, so really cool. Have one of each. But anyhow, yeah, this is great. I mean, back in the day, we call it Doom, and I guess people call it Stoner now, but whatever. To me, it's just great metal. Of course, we lost Eric Wagner a little over a year ago now, right? Or was it 2 years ago?
Yep.
It was 2021, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
But anyhow, yeah, just fantastic album. Their first album, but yeah, you could listen to any of their first 5 albums, and I think they're all brilliant.
Yep. Okay, number 4.
Number 4.
Yes.
Hellstar, A Distant Thunder.
Yes,
We couldn't leave our Native Sons out. This album rules. I think, I mean, as much as I love all their records, this thing, they really came into their own on this record. And so number 4, Hellstar, Distant Thunder. And
all right,
two different covers. It had one with a bunch of lightning coming out of her hands on the second pressing. I thought it was not as impressive as, anyway. What you got,
Okay, well,
Scott? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is, you're gonna have a hard time believing this, but
no, not at all. Oh,
There you go.
yeah, you've got the other pressing.
yeah, I've got the other pressing on cassette, so I grabbed it just because it has the weird trees growing out of her hand.
Right.
Which is probably why they got rid of it, because that's what it looked like instead of lightning. But regardless, The other thing is you can't. Well, you see the star, but you can barely read the name of the band.
Right. Yep.
It's like purple on purple. But anyhow, great album. I don't know if I did a top ranking of Hellstar, it would definitely be in my top 3. Don't know if it would be my number 1, but it's still a great album. And then they do a kick ass cover of "He's a Woman, She's a Man" from Yuli era Scorpions.
Yep.
So there you go. Number 3.
Okay. Number 3. Are we ready? Sacrifice, Torment and Fire. Man, you talk about, as much as I love Razor, this is the epitome of thrash, especially Canadian style thrash metal. And I nearly wore this thing out. So number 3, Sacrifice, Torment and Fire.
It's very raw to me. You can throw it next to like the first couple Destructions or Sodom or Creator, or even early Voivod. They were just so raw and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes raw is bad, but in this case, it's not at all.
No, because it's very real. It's a very organic record, and it's like I told someone the other day, the reason why I love metal is because either you can or you can't. I mean, there's no hiding from it. There's not a whole lot of studio tricks that you can do to make yourself sound better or worse. But anyway, well, you can certainly sound worse. But anyhow, go ahead, Scott. Number 3.
All right, number 3, King's X, Tapehead, another Texas groove band. Put it up there with Galactic Cowboys. But when this first came out, I was not super impressed with it because I loved the first 3 or 4 albums so much, and this one swayed a bit from that sound. But over the years, this has become one of my favorites. If I did a top 5, this one would probably be in my top 2 or 3 for King's X. So Tapehead, King's X, fantastic album. This is a smart pressing on vinyl. Metal Blade never did a vinyl pressing, but this one I also got to work on, and we did a gold disc version with Rob doing the mastering on it.
I do remember that. Okay, yep. Number 2 with a bullet. Sacred Reich, Ignorance. Man, I love this record, and it's got melody and structure, but it has that rawness to it. But the production is so good on it. And I, once again, I think everything after this was sort of mediocre. I love Surf Nicaragua, but after that, I think they went downhill. I haven't bought another Sacred Reich record after this one.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong.
Have you tried Heal?
I like Heal, but I don't love it like I love Ignorance. That sounded weird. Mark.
I know what you mean. All right, so number 2 for me is one of my all-time favorite albums from this band, one of my all-time favorite albums, period. I never considered them a thrash band, but most people put them in that category. I was just considering them more of a U.S. power metal band. But Doomsday for the Deceiver, Flotsam and Jetsam, their first album. Of course, everybody knows this is an album that Jason Newsted was on. He did a lot of the writing on here. And of course, he got swiped from this band and went into Metallica for a decade or more. But I think this is one of those albums that if you were around at the right time and you like bought it as a new release, you kind of see this thing as like a total gem. But I know a lot of people hate this band as well. So I don't get it, but I see a lot of hate for this band, and I don't get it because I think this album is just fantastic. Anyhow,
what's the second one? I can see it. The guy doing committing Harry Carey, Flotsam and Jetsam. No Place for Disgrace. Man, that thing rips.
Yep. And the reissue, they re-recorded it because they always hated. I know they always hated the production on that one, and I kind of agree. The production was kind of flat. The re-recording is awesome. Matter of fact, didn't you get the remaster of that one too, Rob?
I did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, so when the tapes came out, that was a rematch. That was a oh wow.
Yeah, it's a re-recorded version. Yep.
All right. Well,
yeah, we did the remastered 2014 version. Yeah, re-recorded 2014. God bless.
Yeah, because that's one of those albums that's one of those albums that's wound up in red tape with a big label who won't let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2014 they re-recorded that album. Yes, we worked on the remaster of the recent re-release of the 2014 album.
Okay. All right. Finally, number one, and I know these guys have already been mentioned, but I couldn't decide. Slayer, Hell Awaits, and Show No Mercy. I couldn't decide which one, so I just put them at a number one.
Yeah.
Anybody want to fight me in the parking lot about it? No.
Nope.
No, because they're both great.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, you just can't deny songs like "Kill and Kill Again" and At Dawn They Sleep. Those are just like classics. You know? So, but
and like you said, I mean, I got a whole list too of stuff that didn't even make the cut. But I'll wait for your list, or I'll wait for you to go your number one, and then we'll talk about the list.
My number one is, and this is just one of my all-time favorite albums. Went to see the band on this tour. Didn't get to see them. I'll tell you why in a second. But Fates Warning, The Spectre Within, second album for them. The first album was very much Iron Maiden-ish.
Mm-hmm.
With this album, they kind of found their sound. I bought this as a new release when I was literally in high school, so that's probably why I love it so much. It's just, your first discovery of a band is sometimes your favorite album. I think there's a lot of nostalgia, not to say about nostalgia. So, and I think I love John Ark's vocals. I think he's a fantastic vocalist.
I think he is too, and I don't disagree with the fact that those early albums, the Night on Brocken and that one, they're great records. I just like No Exit better.
So yeah, I mean, I like No Exit a lot too, but this has just always been one of my favorites. It's one of those ones that if I'm like all of a sudden getting in the mood to hear Fates Warning, it's one I usually reach for first. So that's my number one, Fates Warning. I could have easily flopped it with Doomsday, though. Those two albums have always been my favorites. Metal Blade Records is one of those labels that back in the 80s, if I was in a record store and saw Metal Blade Records, even if I didn't know the band, I'd buy it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but see, I was that way with Combat, and I was a little more careful with Metal Blade, but maybe I shouldn't have been. Metal Blade had a kind of an unholy alliance too with Restless, that released some of the Death Angel stuff, and it was all just kind of like a East Coast, West Coast. East Coast was the Megaforce, Atlantic Mechanic, and then West Coast was Restless and Metal Blade and Combat until they got bought out. But
yep.
So speaking of lists, I pulled this one. I had no idea this thing was released. Rigor Mortis Freaks. This was after Bruce was dismissed, and then and they picked up Doyle Bright. It's an EP, but like DRI, Thrash Zone, the other Hellstar, Nosferatu, Vikings, The Man of Straw, Do or Die, Intruder from Nashville, Tennessee. Remember them? Even UFO released Ain't Misbehaving on Metal Blade. And I used to have a copy of it. Leech Lord, which you've already mentioned. Hyrax released a couple records.
3 of them, I believe.
Yep. Let's see. Celtic Frost got them. Sodom released a couple. Hallows Eve, which is another one that I had in my hand and just couldn't.
Plunging to Megadeth.
Yeah, and then Voivod released some of that early stuff. But anyway,
yeah, there's also I got the same kind of list here, but like you said, Viking. How about newer bands like Battlecross, who I've seen them live a couple times.
They're great.
Lazarus AD,
another good one.
Unfortunately, only put 2 albums out, and then their drummer died, and they've been kind of on a hiatus ever since. How about Crank Hideous?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was a great album that came out. The entire Lizzie Borden catalog is pretty much on Metal Blade, and I love most of that. Anvil, Strength of Steel, Hyrax, Raging Violence, Sacred Reich, Healing, like you were talking about earlier. The first Armored Saint was on Metal Blade, and then also Now I forget the name of it. Come on, Armored Saint, their classic album right after their guitar player died. I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna make me nuts.
March of the
Symbol of
Saint?
Salvation. Symbol
Oh,
of Salvation was a Metal Blade release. Yep, and I think that's one of their best albums, even though it didn't have the original guitar player on it, but he wrote most of the songs. How about we already mentioned SimForce, we mentioned Warlord, we mentioned Nasty Savage. So yeah, there was just some great stuff on that label.
What was the Ray Alder? Doggone it, he was in another band, or was it Retribution? What was that called? I saw them opening for Into Eternity and Dream Theater, and it was the Ray Alder. Oh man, I'm gonna have to pull a Scott and look it up.
I'm looking it up right now, so you can. Ray Alder.
Conception? No, not Conception. That's a Swiss band. Redemption. It was like basically a Fates Warning knockoff band.
He was also in a band called Engine. He was in a bunch of different bands.
Yeah, Engine. Not a very popular one. I didn't like Engine.
I didn't care for them all that much either, but yeah, Redemption is the one you're talking about, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they opened for Into Eternity and Dream Theater on that. Yeah. Anyway.
So there you go. That's
what's up, Roberto? You're awfully quiet.
No, just too many things. Keeping up with comments and listening to you boys.
Oh,
I have not heard the Ray Alder solo album.
Martin Bailey said, "So no death metal? Come on, y'all."
Yeah, he does love he and Carcass would get along great.
So didn't Cannibal Corpse release something on Metal Blade?
I know the first couple, and I know a lot of people hate this band, but I like them. But the first few 6 Feet Under were on Metal Blade.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And again, they were on my long list. I easily could have put their second album called Warpath.
Yeah, that's a great record.
That's a great album. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there was some good, but when I think of Metal Blade, I don't think of them as necessarily a death metal label, but
no, but and I'm not a huge Chris Barnes fan either, but that Warpath is great.
Timothy Eaton, we did mention Warlord at one point in the area. Yep.
Cannibal, according to our expert on the East Coast, Mark Fields, Cannibal Corpse has been on Metal Blade the whole time.
Cool.
Okay. I stand
corrected. And let me tell you, that dude's got a record coming out that you need to pay attention to as well.
Is it with Siege or is it with somebody else?
Nope, somebody else. I'm not gonna spill the beans because I don't think they're ready for that. But he's the best vocalist in fast hardcore. I'll fight you.
You're not gonna.
I helped him with the mastering, and it's.
I'll be back. God. I'll be back to back with the Dukes up.
Carcass, you'll love it. It is violent, man. It is so good.
Now, why do you think I like violent music?
I know you do. I know you do.
Well, that's it, man. That's our list. That was a lot in an hour. We cranked through those, but
yeah, that was a lot. I'm sorry, anyway. I was doing too many things. I picked this up at Goodwill.
Dude, I love the banana splits.
I know. I couldn't believe it. It was $2. It's
those little 6-wheel buggies that they used to drive around in. I wanted one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wait for the new cattle decap. Now, I do love Death Atlas. I'm not a big extreme metal guy, as you guys know, but Martin at the metal swap meet a few years back turned me on to a little bit of cattle decap because I didn't realize that Travis was in my booth. I didn't even know.
You saying that you're not into extreme music is like the understatement of maybe not just the year, decade, maybe of the new century.
Fair enough. But that Cattle Decapitation Death Atlas album is fantastic.
They have a unique way about them for sure.
Yes, they do.
Speaking of extreme or death metal, I just got the new Anger Rot in too, which I'm only played once, but I liked what I heard. So I need to give it a few more spins to really let it sink in. But Anger Rot Probably pretty close to the Banana Splits in sound.
I'm just
Pretty
glad I got
close.
to mention the Banana Splits on here.
Well, I get to know, and as long as I get to mention Osric Tentacles, then whatever.
All right. Well, you got any parting shots before we get out of here?
No. Keep it heavy.
It has been heavy. You can follow me on Instagram at Metal Robs Records. You can follow the Carcass on Instagram at Carcass John Art.
And you know what? And yes, follow Scott on just Google Scott Waters, and he's got a gazillion things laid out there. But you know what? Hit up the Deep Dallas Radio thing, man.
Yeah,
I want to feel like we're not just doing that for nothing.
No,
because I love doing it.
So if you guys want to hear an hour of what I like, including new music, I'll just give you the quick rundown. Carcass and I do shows on Deep Dallas Radio. You can find it by going to deepdallasradio.rocks. You can go to Google Radio, Apple Radio. You can go to the Live 365 app,
right?
The TuneIn app, and just search Deep Dallas Radio. Well, on Friday at 5:00 Central Standard Time, I do a show, mostly melodic hard rock, heavy metal, more traditional heavy metal. I played some Power Trip last week, but then I'll play, the new Dawkins song or the new Great White song, and then some underground.
The new Chris Manning song.
Yeah, Chris Manning, Stone Trip, stuff like that. We play some locals, and then Carcass comes on and melts your face off at 6:00 on his new show, The Crypt. So check out deepdallasradio.rocks. I'll put the link up right now and listen to our dumbasses.
And you know what? If you have we welcome any input, whether it's on our radio show things or our internet radios, or even in the Metal Roundtable. We're always looking for cool subject matter. Just message us, DM us, do whatever. But I will be playing the new Avenger of Blood, of Blood track this Friday, and everything from Death Hammer to Space Chaser. I'm doing a demo track from the original Power Trip cassette.
Wow.
So anyway, and we have a feature called the Triple Thrash Threat, which is pretty cool. And
well, now that you've tipped your hand on your set list, I actually had a little bit of a technical meltdown last week, and so I'm going to replay my show this week from last week. And I've got Spread Eagle, Slaughter, Skid Row, Aska, From the Grave, Damaged Faith, Jester, Blackwater Rising, Kings and Liars, Power Trip, Hellstar, Fear Not, Chris Manning, and I finished it off with the Hellions.
Man, Kings and Liars.
Oh my
Charlie
God,
and Nikki Belmore, those dudes are bad to the bone.
God, that thing is just a ginormous riff sandwich that I can't get enough of it in my face.
Those guys have been in everything from Toxic Holocaust to Dee Snider to Kingdom of Sorrow. Those dudes can riff. Those guys can play, and in fact, they were the principals on the new Cannibal George Fisher record, Corpse Grinder.
Oh, okay.
And that was them. So, yeah, man, listen to all those tracks and then stick around at 6:00 and have your face melted.
Yep. And on Friday, I will be in Arlington at Mavericks for the Spread Eagle show. They're on their Subway to the Stars tour. COVID canceled out a bunch of that, and so they're out celebrating that record. And if you love Spread Eagle, you need to check out that Frontiers album, Subway to the Stars, that they put out a couple years ago. It is freaking fantastic melodic hard rock and metal. It is so good. So I'll run into Rob DeLuca on Friday night, whom we've had on the show once or twice. I can't remember. I think we've had him a couple times, but Rob will be there, and I'm excited about that. So I always like running into people we've had on the show, and Rob's been super, super good to us since he was on. So that's about it. So yeah, our radio shows, deepdallasradio.rocks. You can find Scott by going to YouTube and searching Scott Waters. But if you want to do us the biggest favor in the world, go find an episode that you liked and share the link to it, if you don't mind. We're still trying to gain subscribers and build up the show and just keep getting bigger and better all the time. So yeah, man, sharing us and liking us and subscribing us and following us and all that shit. We would sure appreciate it. So,
And there you go.
And there you go.
that's it. All right, you boys know how we close it out. Let me get the banner ready. Oh,
Disco will prevail.
Oh, I'm going to do the new outro with the MediaTek logo.
Yes.
Ready? All right, for episode 173, I'm Metal Rob signing off. Until next time, Metal will
prevail.
right now.